This cute little Hoya is called Hoya krohniana Eskimo. And it's a type of cultivar of Hoya krohniana, and I think actually a common one to get, at least as far as cuttings go. This cutting I've had for about 3 years, and I have multiple other cuttings throughout my house. And if I turn this around, you could see that it has these like really cute little adventitious roots kind of growing out of the nodes, which again tells me that this is probably an easy one to propagate, as well as an easy one to kind of cling on to certain things. Now this one is native to the Philippines, and you'll see that it has these, this one has some umbels that are starting, this like little peduncle and spur, which is where the inflorescence sits. So this is not yet flowering, but I've seen these flowers, and they're like a little white and kind of like ruffly, and they're actually a little bit more fragrant. So it has kind of this sweet scent that primarily comes at night. And it's a beautiful little plant. So I'm actually going to be upping the fertilizer in this one pretty soon with a little bit more of phosphorus, because it's now springtime. And giving a little bit more phosphorus during the time when it's actually flowering is actually going to benefit this particular plant. But otherwise, Hoya are actually low feeders. They don't need a tremendous amount of fertilizer. So since I'm using an organic fertilizer with a little bit more higher in phosphorus, I'm going to do this more on a bi-weekly basis. But if you're using a synthetic fertilizer, then I would actually cut it by half, largely because, again, Hoya's not great feeders. Now this particular plant I have growing about 3.5 feet away from a southwest facing window. And I do have to say that almost all of my Hoya krohnianas are actually growing around that vicinity of my southwest facing window. I had one that I had pulled back maybe more like 5 or 6 feet, and I have to say it wasn't actually doing as well. So I don't know if your experience is actually different in regards to kind of giving it light, but I would say that this is a little bit more of a moderate light grower, and does appreciate to be in a little bit slighter, higher light. As far as watering goes, this one's in a little bit of a peatier mix, largely because that's how this has been propagated. But as this starts to grow a little bit more, I might move it to a slightly bigger pot and actually give a little bit more of a well-draining mix, because these particular plants don't necessarily love to be soaking in water. They unless you're actually propagating them, because they do propagate well in water. But when you actually move them to a soil substrate, you want to have it a little bit more of an airy mix, because most of these particular plants are actually epiphytes growing on other plants, and their roots are not necessarily in water all that much. As far as pests go, I have never had a problem actually with Hoya krohniana Eskimo, but mealybugs do and are common and affect Hoyas, but this particular one has never had that problem, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this bloom.